History is usually noisy. It is filled with the roar of cannons, the speeches of kings, and the scratching of quills on parchment. But sometimes, history is defined by silence. In August 1590, a relief expedition made landfall on a small barrier island off the coast of modern-day North Carolina. They were heavily armed, expecting to be greeted by 117 English settlers, men, women, and children who had been left there 3 years prior. They expected a bustling port, a fortress, a welcome home. Instead, they found a ghost town. The houses had been taken down. The perimeter wall was standing, but the people were gone. There were no bodies, no blood, no signs of a struggle, just a single word carved into a wooden palisade: CROATOAN. For 400 years, this moment has been treated as America's original ghost story. We call it the Lost Colony, but people do not simply dissolve into the mist. I am here to tell you that the mystery of Roanoke is not a supernatural event. It is a cold case. And thanks to new technology, lost maps, and climatology, we finally have the evidence to solve it. To understand the disappearance, we must first understand the desperation. The year was 1587. The English were late to the game in the New World, scrambling to catch up to the Spanish Empire. Sir Walter Raleigh organized a new expedition. But unlike the previous attempt in 1585, which was a military outpost run by soldiers, this 1587 mission was different. It was a civilian colony. These were families, middle-class Londoners who sold everything they owned for a ticket to paradise. They were led by John White, not a general, but an artist, a man who painted the world with delicate watercolors. They arrived on Roanoke Island with dreams of a city of Raleigh. But they arrived too late in the season to plant crops. On August 18th, John White's own daughter gave birth to a girl, Virginia Dare, the first English child born in America. But the joy was short-lived. Supplies were dwindling. The local tribes, burned by the violence of the previous military expedition, were hostile. 9 days after his granddaughter was born, John White made a heartbreaking choice. He would sail back to England to get food and reinforcements. He promised to return in 3 months. He didn't know he was sailing into a world war. Upon his arrival in England, the Spanish Armada attacked. Queen Elizabeth issued a stay of shipping. No vessel could leave English ports. John White was grounded. He watched from the docks, helpless, as the weeks turned into months, and the months turned into 3 agonizing years. When White finally returned in 1590, his heart must have stopped. The colony was dismantled. But here is the detail that most casual history books miss. Before he left, 3 years prior, White established a secret code with the settlers. He told them, if you move location, carve the name of where you are going. But if you are in distress, if you are being attacked or starving, carve a cross over the name. He found the word CROATOAN, but he found no cross. This wasn't a crime scene. It was a forwarding address. CROATOAN referred to the barrier island to the south, known today as Hatteras Island. It was the home of Manteo, a CROATOAN chief who had traveled to London and was a sworn ally of the English. White tried to sail to Hatteras immediately, but a massive hurricane blew his ships out to sea. Defeated and out of supplies, he was forced to return to England, never knowing the fate of his granddaughter. Why did they leave the safety of their fort? For centuries, we guessed. Now we know. In 1998, dendrochronologists, scientists who study tree rings, drilled into ancient bald cypress trees near Roanoke. They discovered something terrifying. The years 1587 to 1589 were not just dry. They were the driest 3 years in 8 centuries. It was a megadrought. The colonists arrived at the exact moment the ecosystem collapsed. They couldn't grow food. The local tribes couldn't grow food. Tension wasn't just about politics. It was about calories. Leaving Roanoke wasn't a choice. It was an ecological necessity. So where did they go? The evidence overwhelmingly points to assimilation. Recent archaeological digs at Cape Creek on Hatteras Island, the very place the sign pointed to, have uncovered artifacts that simply shouldn't be in a Native American village. They found a gold signet ring. They found lead shot. They found copper eyelets for English corsets. These were personal items, treasured heirlooms that a starving refugee would keep on their person. A century later, English explorer John Lawson visited the area. He met natives with gray eyes who told him their ancestors could speak out of a book. The reality is likely that the colonists, starving and desperate, were taken in by Mantio's people. They intermarried. They learned the language. They didn't die, they adapted. But the story has one final twist. In 2012, the British Museum examined John White's original watercolor map. They noticed a small paper patch pasted over a section of the coastline. When they backlit the map, they saw a ghost image hidden beneath the patch, a symbol of a fort 50 miles inland, at a site dubbed Site X. This changes the narrative. It suggests the colony may have split. A small group likely went to CROATOAN to wait for White's return, while the main body moved inland to Site X, the Chowan River, where the soil was better and the drought less severe. Excavations there have also turned up Elizabethan pottery. They didn't just vanish. They executed a plan that history forgot, until now. The story of Roanoke has always been sold as a tragedy of death, but the evidence tells a story of survival. These 117 people were abandoned by their queen, trapped by a war, and starved by the climate. And yet, they did not lay down and die. They packed their bags. They shook hands with their neighbors. They forged a new life in a new world. The lost colony was never really lost. It was just absorbed into the fabric of America. We have been looking for their bones, when we should have been looking at our own faces.